All right, let's just get straight to it.
My truth, I cheated on my husband. So we met online in March, and our first conversations were somewhere in April. And yes, we got married in August. So it was very real, very quick. That young love that, you can't even help but to have, I guess, one time in your life. It was a beautiful thing. And the day we got married, I knew we were gonna get divorced. He was like nervous and he was shaking. I mean, we eloped. I told my mom and my dad the day of that was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm going to get married." They're like, "What?" He didn't tell his parents that he was married for years, but that is a whole nother story. All of this is in a book that I'm writing called Young, Dumb, and Divorced.
Look right here. Let me break it down for you real quick if you didn't get this. This right here, this whole situation is really a mess, First off, this girl met this guy online, this kind of weird romance, you're married by August. Sounds like something out of a rom-com, right? But here's the kicker. You knew on your wedding day that it was all gonna crash and burn. That's some serious foreshadowing if I've ever seen it. Wow.
Got married very young, and he was amazing. He was a great provider. He was a good friend, and things were good. We had a baby. Things were good until they weren't. When we got married, I was 320 pounds. I lost the weight and kind of went south.
In 2019, I had an affair. And right before my dirty 30 of going with my girlfriends to Vegas that I planned for myself, um, one of my friends got mad at me and messaged my husband and told him everything.
I was like, I'm so scared to ask him because I would have been embarrassed if he was like, no, I ain't send you them flowers, girl. You the leasing, you the property manager, relax. And then I think I got another bouquet of flowers and he called me. And the first date was so nice, like a perfect gentleman. I was just like, yes. But then, Dre, it just over time, it never came around. Like that feeling never came around. And so now we're in the swing of having sex, but it's detached. Like we're doing it, but I don't feel particularly inspired or satisfied. He does, but that starts to wear off too. Of having sex, but it's detached. Like we're doing it, but I don't feel particularly inspired or satisfied. He does, but that starts to wear off too.
Other than that, we were in love. It was real. It was real to me. I can't speak for him, and this is why this is called my truth. And marriage is something serious to me. It's not something that I played around with. So we got married. He was going to deploy shortly. And now I feel like, I fucked up. I messed up. I still loved him, but maybe, we shouldn't have got married. I messed up. I still loved him, but maybe.
After finding out about my affair, he got me into psychotherapy and got us into a religious marriage counselor. Now, props to him for getting me into a psychotherapist because this man specialized in sexual trauma and he was really able to help me process some stuff I went through as a child.
Bring me to the day you cheated for the first time.
So, met a guy at work, and we started to become friends. He was very flirtatious, gave me a lot of.
First off, let me just say this. Let's just talk about this affair, right? You met this dude at work. He's laying on the charm, giving you attention, and you are feeling all the flustered because life after baby ain't what it used to be. Next thing you know, boom, you're in too deep. But instead of pumping the brakes, you are living this double life, feeling like some kind of a secret agent, right? And you think it's funny? And don't even get me started on this whole privacy situation, You're deleting social media accounts, reporting back to him like he is your parole officer. I mean, that's not marriage. That's a prison sentence. Jeez.
Attention. I had just had a baby. I was about a year postpartum, and I was feeling, I mean, the weight was gone, but I was still feeling bad. I was feeling bored and frumpy, and I just wanted some excitement. And he and I became friends, and it was innocent at first. And then it gradually started to progress into something a little more inappropriate each day.
Friends with his friends. Or not friends, but I befriended his friends. We had good conversation. So I was connected to some of his friends. It was one of his friends that I connected with. I would send all of them like care packages and stuff like that. And he was coming into Atlanta. He had just came off deployment. So we met up, and I was trying to hook him up with one of my friends.
But after finding out about my affair, he became very controlling. So while I was going to therapy, I basically had to come home and report back to him everything that I had talked about or processed through. So I had no privacy. He had access to all my social medias. I actually had to delete my social media for 6 months. And when I got back on, I had to delete like half of my following and friends, and then he had my login. So for some reason, if someone messaged me, it would go first to his phone. I was completely isolated. But I gave up those freedoms because I had messed up. You have to realize that I didn't just betray him, I betrayed my own morals. I had never even cheated on a boyfriend before. So I was processing a lot in this, and I felt extremely guilty. And I tried to not feel ashamed because I know shame puts you in a spiral, and I was trying to just feel guilty so I could change my ways and process and make sure it never happened again.
Well, it was exciting because it was a secret. But when I came home, I loathed coming home. I did not want to come home. I wanted to be in that excitement, that euphoria forever. I hated coming home. So it was hard. I lived a double life. I was a different person at work and with him, and I was a different person at home with my baby and with my ex-husband. It was hard. It was very exhausting, but it was so exciting and enchanting, and I did not want to stop. It became an addiction.
Was sleeping with your husband difficult?
Very.
Why?
Because I only wanted the other guy. Wow. I was so in love. I thought I was in love. I was, my random, crazy, mixed up depiction of love. That's what I felt at the time. And I didn't want anybody with him. Nobody.
With me not having a very strong physical connection to him, one, I read that as not as a flag. I really didn't, because that was something that I used to guide a lot of my decisions prior to him. And he basically brings it to my attention, like, do you remember the last time we had sex? And I was like, like a few days ago. And he was like, it was not a few days ago. And I'm like, it could not have been that long ago. And he was like, it was a month ago. And I was like,
well,
wow, time flies, doesn't it?
So at that time, you had just made up in your mind that this just won't be a part of the relationship moving forward.
Not a big part of it.
Not a big part of it.
No.
And you had come to terms with that. And
I had come to terms
okay
with
marrying him and moving forward, knowing that that wouldn't be a thing.
Because again, I was like, this is a good man, Savannah. This is a good man. He is 90-10, not 80-20. He is this, he is that, he is that.
Savannah, with a name like that.
Like this is really like
Savannah, with a name like that. Who needs to marry another wife anyway? But here's the thing. You're saying, let's just, in general. So this lady, some of them, they are saying that they love this other guy and stuff like that, that they don't want anybody else but him, especially the lady. Meanwhile, they are at home with their husbands, feeling like they'd rather be anywhere else. This makes no sense. It doesn't add up. And that's not fair to anyone involved, in my personal opinion. So let's talk about accountability for a sec. You're saying you already decided to divorce him in your mind. So you might as well cheat, right? It's a question mark. Is that right? Like, if you decided in your mind that you're divorced, no, it's not physical. You've not signed any papers. That gives you the license to cheat. This is a whole new level. The way things are going in this world, well, we don't need any population control. The women are doing it themselves because there'll be no one to wife them up to give them get them pregnant, and then they have babies. So naturally, things will just go back to 1 billion in the next 100 years or so. Anyway, let's forget about all those population control things. So I'll say, really, these ladies have to own up. They have to own up to their own actions, and they should not try to justify them after the fact. So, here's the bottom line: if you're not happy in your marriage, you have to, you need to have the guts to confront it head on, because cheating is not the answer. It's just adding fuel to the fire. So do yourself a favor, cut the drama, and just figure out what you really want. That's what I'll say for today. Thanks for tuning in to the OB podcast. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because I'll bring you the next one and I'll give you my reaction. Cheers.